have a seat and make yourselves at home. This school is a creative and performing arts school.
Yeah, we
One thing is that we're definitely, Detroit has a very diverse social media community, and a lot of that has to do with music, art,
Absolutely.
culture, and stuff like that. So
It's a great link to Memphis, though, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Detroit and Memphis have a great link. And you can tell me a little bit about, number one, why I teach, how long I've taught, and what's in it for me. Okay, because then I think you'll understand some of the other questions that I need your help in. Okay? So first of all, I was in corporate leadership for about 20 years. And I made a decision in 2008 to leave a job. I was the director of customer service at that time for Nike. And I decided that I wanted to teach, and so I went to the Memphis Teaching Fellows program. And they have these all over the country, the Teaching Fellows. And I decided that I would teach Spanish. And that was an easy choice for me because I didn't study it in school, but part of my family is native Spanish speaking, and even though it was certainly my second language and not something I did every day, it just seemed to make sense because, I had a passion for it. So I decided to do that. So I went through that rigorous program, and then last year, my first year in 2009, I taught at a middle school, and then of course, this year, 2010 through 11, I was blessed enough to get to this school, which I love immensely. I go to the internet, even somewhat against some policies, because I bring my own internet card, and I go to YouTube, all right? And I go wherever I need to go. For example, when we were talking about culture in Cuba, just a little bit, I wanted my students to see a Cuban singer. She's dead now. But anyway, La Lupe. I wanted them to see La Lupe as she was in the 60s, and I wanted her to see Lauren Vasquez as she played La Lupe. And so I brought that in, and I mean, they were enthralled. And so without things like YouTube, I'm thinking, I would have missed a great opportunity. So in teaching, you have to use all of the senses. So I stress a lot that I need the tactile, I need the kinesthetic, I need those musical learners, I need the interpersonal learners, I need the visual audio. All of this is so very important in teaching. All of the strategies, you have to use it. And then when you do that, and you have the ability to integrate social media, oh my goodness, then you have brought a kid who has never left 15 miles from within this area. You can take them to Cuba, you can take them to Puerto Rico, you can take them to Venezuela, you can take them. I can do Google Earth, all right? So I can show you on Google Earth where this is or that is. I can take you to Brazil. And so this is the importance of social media, because once you do that, then you should be able to connect your students with the students in another school. I want kids to know that we all share the desire to create, but we all need to be able to link. And the other thing that is so important to the teaching of Spanish for me, and I promise I won't talk anymore, is that my kids are predominantly of African descent. They generally are clueless about the fact that they took more slaves to Latin America than they did to the United States. So therefore they have no concept that when you go to Cuba, hay muchos Latinos de color, no? There are a lot of Latinos that they think are black. Puerto Ricans, Venezuelans, it doesn't matter. And so even Mexicans who are darker than I am. And so one of the things that once you share with them, okay, there are 21 countries that say that they have Spanish as a primary language. One of those countries also is on the continent of Africa. How many people know that? Most people never teach it.
It's about Spanish all over the world.
Right.
I'm Filipino.
Sí, como no. And still, of course it was spoken there.
Yes, and since we were under the Spanish crown for so long,
Absolutely.
a lot of our culture is actually derived from the Spanish culture.
Absolutely.
And when I have new friends, taste Filipino food, when they are open to different kinds of Filipino culture,
Right.
they don't realize that it's very similar to Mexican culture and a lot of Latin American culture. A lot of our foods are very similar, and a lot of our culture is very, very similar.
Exactly.
That's cool.
The words even?
Yep.
Last names sometimes, Pan, all of that.
Mercader.
Yes, as a Spanish last name.
So when your kids leave this school, what do you think? What would you hope for them to take with them as part of like integrating Spanish into their lives?
Well, I think that is one of the main things, because when we talk about the American Council on Foreign Languages and goals for teaching Spanish, one of the things is that it has to be about community, it has to be about connections, as well as communications and culture and all of that. So I want children to leave here understanding that when you see someone who speaks Spanish, don't just say that's a Mexican. Nothing bothers me more than for people to find a person who speaks Spanish and say, oh, there goes a Mexican, he's speaking Mexican. That bugs me. And so if nothing else, I want my kids to learn that you can be from any one of 21 countries and have Spanish as your primary language. You can be of any racial definition, or you can be of any ethnicity, because they find it really hard to think, a black person can be Hispanic or a black person can be Latino. So I said in America, we define things by black.
When I was in high school, I didn't know that minorities, okay, first of all, Bobby and I grew up in the suburbs. So all the minorities that we grew up with, we didn't know were minorities. First of all, I didn't. And they had way more money than I did. I got lost in my friend's house. Like my best friend growing up, she was a Chaldean girl. She had floors and elevators, and there's a bridge. I mean, and it was very different. Like
Right.
her extended family lives here, but that's just their culture.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I got to college, I went to a podunk college, like in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, and found out that one, racism existed, and two, that there were Amish people. I was like, what is going on?
Thinks about the fact that Spain just released Equatorial Guinea, which was Guinea Equatorial, in I think maybe 1968, somewhere in there. So they don't know that that's a Spanish-speaking country in Africa. So I try to tie all of this together from an ethnic point of view, as well as culture. You teach about the food. So you talk about the yams that people ate in West Africa, came over to the New World, to all over the Americas, all of these things. So it is an integrated process, and that's the reason why I love social media. I'm studying at Wilkes University, I'm studying instructional media, and so that's the reason why social media came. When I got the call and said we were going to talk about social media, I said, oh, this is fantastic. I love social media.
That's very interesting, because I know that, see, I had the privilege of having a computer when I was young, which not a lot of people have.
Absolutely.
And I jumped onto social media right away, which was before the internet. We had a little service called Prodigy.
Yeah, yeah.
And the first thing I did was found a pen pal in California.
Okay.
And, like that's basically, I've seen social media evolve over the past, 20 or more years. And that's what it has always been about, is connecting people from around the world, around the country, around your community, just connecting people together without having to be, physically there.
My experience with social media is that the world, while more and more people are being born every day, it's getting smaller.
Absolutely.
The ability to connect, each of us, have unique roles, and each of us, I would, confidently say, have been able to expand our communities in a very profound manner because of that gap from us to that next person is that much smaller.
Exactly.
It used to be a phone call or knock on a door or what have you away, and I had one specific example that I can provide is I'm a top ski racer in Michigan.
Okay.
And I've actually met a few business executives through that that sought advice from me.
Right.
When I would like to seek advice from them. So we were able to find that common ground. And these are people that frankly I just don't have the right to talk to. Or at least that's the perception.
Yeah, that would be the perception.
The perception
but
is
it's not
that
proof, yeah.
for me to talk to this person, I have to go through the secretary of the secretary. And then when I finally get through, I might get a meeting, and if I do get a meeting, it's for like 5 minutes, and they're going to look at me and be like, all right, what do you want? I don't know. That's the perception. But now it's a matter of, hey, I do this, you do this, hey, let's talk. We can talk about what we love and then oh, by the way, we can do business.
Right, right.
You know, and it's such a wonderful
It's
thing.
always a mix, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and you know, finding that common ground is such a beautiful thing.
So how's it going?
Doing
Good.
Hopefully she's giving you guys good information.
We're learning, hopefully sharing a little bit.
Actually, we're learning a lot too.
Yeah.
We know the kids love it because like every time you can get them to do stuff online, like you know they're more excited. But at the same time, like you know we have we're kind of limited here in the classroom because we can show them pictures, like you know the blog pictures. We can go on YouTube. And personally, I like to go on YouTube because they have so many videos on YouTube, and the kids love to sing. And I'm a horrible singer, so I'd rather have them like you know watching the video and learn from that. But I find my way around it, so I use it in my classroom a lot. They love like video clips, like
Like
you know,
Alex Cuba.
uh,
You know
She-
Alex Cuba?
Oh,
That's his
you
name.
have to listen to
You have
you
to
have to
listen
listen
to
to Alex
Alex
Cuba for a
Cuba.
few minutes before you leave. One of the best musicians ever. If you love music, right, you don't have to understand the words. That's what I
Yes,
tell the kids
absolutely.
because they're taking French. And every time I play a song, they're like, we don't understand. I'm like, think about it this way. How many people do we have living on Earth? They say more than 6 billion. How many live in the United States? 300 million. How many of them are fluent in English, for example? Less than a billion. So if you decide to listen to only English music, that's mean like, you know, there's a huge, like, you know, group behind that you're living behind. So you have to listen to all kind of music. And they're like, oh, okay, maybe you have a point. And I'm like, guys, think about it this way. Growing up, I spoke French and Ewe, which is a dialect that's only spoken in West Africa. But I can picture myself growing up, going back now, without listening to Michael Jackson. They're like, yeah, without listening to like Janet Jackson. They're like, yeah. So you have to listen from music from other countries. Even if you don't understand it, first you have to make sure like, you know, if you like the beat, then you're gonna like the music. And then the second is the melody. So the words do not matter, the words will come later. So we try to implement as much technology as we can in the classroom, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to do some more.
He's been teaching a lot about Haiti also.
Yeah.
And so
That's
integrating that
very
in
good
terms
timing.
of.
That get their attention. I mean, you show up one day, they don't want to pay attention. You show them a picture from Haiti, then like, you know, you get that going. So, all right, good luck.
Thank you.
We had such an amazing experience at Overton High. Just walking through the hallways, everywhere you go, there are great examples of how these children express themselves through art. Not only did we learn new things about language, culture, race, and instructional media, we took a piece of Memphis home with us in our hearts. No matter what the outcome of this competition is, we assure you that Team High Five's work with Miss Gray is far from over.